Well, this will be our fourth year in the BNBL. We came out of the cable league. We were in that league for about 3 years as the Mill City Mustangs, and was kind of just waiting for everybody to get to the next age bracket because I'm like the oldest player on the team at 41, and my second round of guys I'd say in my career are all around 28, 30 now. So we moved in 2023. And we had a decent year. We got knocked out by the Senators, and then we did some recruiting in the off season, brought some guys in, and in 2024 we kind of went on a hot run there at the end and picked up our first championship outside of our previous leagues.
I was gonna say you guys have had a pretty historic and epic last two seasons. Obviously with the 2024 title, and Brock Riley being right in the middle of that. So talk about kind of your favorite memories from that championship or that championship season and the last few seasons in general, and what stands out about it.
Well, 2024, I mean, it was just a solid group of guys. We all had stuff going on in our lives, and we kind of just came together at the right time. We had previously lost the year before in the playoffs. Coming out of the cable, we lost in the first round three straight years. So we just needed to get over that hump. And we had gone to the Cape Cod tournament Labor Day weekend together, and we had a great time. We kind of all just kind of had a good time together. Baseball wasn't even like the main factor on that trip. We got our butts kicked. I think the first year we went 0-4. It wasn't pretty, but it kind of lit a fire under us afterwards because we knew we just had to get back to focus, and we became closer as a team. Like we really bonded on this trip, going out to the bars and stuff and the beaches and just having a great time. So when we got back, it was like we were a different team. We won the last two games of the season and then end up going 7-0 in the playoffs. I mean, Brock was lights out. Johnny, Nick Godfrey, our pitching won that championship, and solid defense. It was really fun. And then last year, I mean, we lost a few guys. I'm not going to make excuses, but it seemed like guys weren't bought in like we were the year before. Like we had a deep bench, and last year going into the playoffs, we had our starting lineup, but we just didn't have much of reserve. And the Senators got us back this time.
Of course, during all this, you kind of mentioned it to me in a previous answer just before the video started about dealing with heart failure and
Yeah.
how that impacted you. Can you talk about that a little bit, as much as obviously you want to share, and how that's kind of changed your career trajectory in the BNBL and Boston baseball in general?
Yeah. Well, so it was back in 2018. So I was kind of like on the end of ready to hang it up. I had gone through a divorce. Most of the guys I had played previous, 8 years with were all retiring and getting ready to move on from baseball. And then I got sick. I was having a great season, and out of nowhere, I just started losing weight. Felt like I had the flu. I was playing in the outfield and throwing up on the field. I was throwing up while I'm running the bases, and my team's like, "What's going on with you?" I was like, "I'm fine." And then finally, it just kept getting worse. So I went to a walk-in to get a checkup. I'm like, "I got the flu. I can't get rid of it." And they're like, "Well, we're going to check your heart out." I'm like, "I'm only 33. Like, wasn't expecting it." But to make a long story short, I end up going in and to the hospital and being hooked up to all kinds of stuff, and found out I needed a heart. And before I could get one, I had to go on the waiting list. And because my heart at the time was only pumping at 10%, like I waited to the very last minute to get help. And they had to give me an LVAD, which it's basically looks like a turbocharger that connects to the bottom of your heart, and it just continues the blood flow for you. You don't have a pulse. And then it comes out your side, and then I'm hooked up to a monitor and two batteries. And I basically, most people just go home and just wait around until a heart comes along. But when they told me that I'd probably never play baseball again, that like triggered something inside me saying, no, I'm not retired. I'm not going down like this. So I got the surgery. So I've had three heart surgeries. That one was probably the worst of the three, getting the LVAD. But I worked very hard that off season and come back. They're like, there's no way you can play baseball. You're hooked up to a machine. And I proved them wrong. And that kind of got the team motivated too to see me. Like when I came out, I was 119 pounds, like just skin and bone, gross. I'm normally like right now I'm like 165. That's my healthy normal weight. So we end up playing that season with me hooked up to batteries, and as our big final run, I think we went 19-1 on the year and won the championship. And it was just, you know, we came up with the slogan "Play with Heart," which we wear on our sleeves now. Well, it's not on this hoodie, but on our jerseys. But yeah, baseball kept me motivated, and I really think it helped me get through my sickness and get a heart. Um, and then just my teammates sticking with me and stuff. And after that, I decided I wasn't going to stop playing. Like, I'm all in again. Like, everything's focused back on baseball. I'll take my younger group now that are all turning 28 at the time, and we'll, oh, sorry, they weren't, that was before. The Greater Lowell Baseball League, the league we were in, after we won that 19-win season, we decided it was our time to move on to a bigger league. And that's when we went to the cable. At the time, they had like 15 teams. So that's why we made the move there, and then eventually into BNBL 28s.
Yeah, I know
And
what moving into this season you have 7 or 8, I mean, including the Field of Screams, including the Boston World Baseball Classic as well. I mean, that's what, 7 or 8 championships. I mean, I don't know if I'm doing the math correctly,
yeah,
and
I mean, we
feel
had,
free to list them if you're inclined
so
to.
yeah, I mean, in the Lowell League, it was like 6 to 8 teams. It was a small league. It was competitive. There's players and teams that came out from outside leagues throughout the 10 years we're in that league to try to knock us off, and they never did. We won 5 championships there and went to 10 straight championships before moving on. And then we couldn't get over the hump in the cable league, getting knocked out 3 years in a row by the Giants, North Shore Giants. And then in 2024, the end of 2023, we went to a Field of Scream tournament. It was fun. We won that, and that kind of set us off where we kind of started putting the right pieces together. Guys wanting to play together, the right team chemistry, and so we got the 28 BNBL championship that year. Um, in that spring Memorial Day weekend, we went as Team Ireland, which was most of us Angel guys and some outsiders, but the core was the Angels players there, and that was fun. We were definitely the underdogs, I think, going into that tournament as Team Ireland. Nobody knew who we were yet, and we went 4-0 in that and won that, so that was pretty cool. And that tournament just keeps growing. This year, it's going to be huge. But we'll be back in that, and then yeah, last year we won another Field of Screams tournament, which is fun. It's at the end of the season. All the leagues around are done playing. It's one last time to get some competitive ball in. Um, Not a lot of teams from the BNBL play in that tournament, so you don't really recognize the teams, but there was some good teams. The Boston Havoc, I think, were probably favored to win that tournament. They had a stack lineup with a lot of guys from the BNBL, great hitters, pitching and stuff, but they got knocked off by a up and coming team called the Doves, who are in the Boston Baseball Association with a very young manager. So surprisingly, they won that. And then again, we hand the ball over to Brock, and anytime we have a championship game, and he shut them down.
I was gonna say, I mean, this past year, Brock and then Mike Smith, I believe is his name,
Yeah,
had that 12 inning duel that was obviously, I mean, it's been talked about multiple times in interviews on this channel, especially the last like 4 or 5. by multiple people. Just
Yeah,
how insane that was, and the fact that it
very
went that
insane.
long, and especially Brock pitching as long as he did. What was your perspective on that? Because I'm sure you had a front row seat to it. So what was your
Yeah,
perspective on all that?
it was an amazing game to watch. I'm pretty sure I had to call my heart team several times throughout that game to get me back on the transplant list because they were giving me a heart attack. Um, it's probably one of the only losses I've walked away and said, there was nothing else we could do. We gave it 100% effort. Um, Brock was never going to come out of that game. Unless he asked, which he wasn't going to. We were really thin. Johnny pitched the game before. Nick was hurting. At that point, it was stick with your best guy, and he was still dealing into the 12th inning, and they were throwing punches right back with us. I mean, I think it was a 2-2 game after the second inning. So he went 9 or 10 innings without any runs scored. And Mike Smith was dominant, and then they were able to hand it over to their closer, Fleury, I think he was. And that guy is just very hard to hit, too. I remember at one point, I wasn't in the game. I usually just DH and hit here and there. But in the playoffs, I want my stars in the lineup. But I was trying to get a spot going. And I went out to my car and I grabbed the equipment and I walked back. And I remember my Mac Flynn in left field's like, "What are you doing?" "Oh no, the coach is getting his stuff." And I was like, somebody's got to get a hit in this game. So I put myself in to face Fleury. And man, the first pitch, I was like, oh man, big mistake. I should not be in this lineup right now. Like that was good stuff. So he ended up striking me out. So I realized it was everybody was having trouble with them. I think we struck out 22 times in that game, which is crazy. And Brock was right there for 11 plus innings, and Mike Smith, who was clutch that whole series and in the championship, definitely the MVP of the playoffs. He came in with a big hit, and all you can do is tip your hat off to him. That was a great game. But I mean, Brock's pitched a lot of big games for me. He's won a championship in the GLBA with me. He's pitched a lot of pro ball, and then he's come back. He's a huge reason why we won in 2024. And last year, that wasn't his only big game. Another impressive game he had was when we went to the Cape. We had a really good team going into the Cape, really good pitching, and we're going up against the Cowbells, who won the tournament the year before, and they're just a stacked team. And we gave Brock the ball in that one. It was a semifinal game, but we knew that was the team we had to get by, so we used Brock. And again, that went toe to toe with them. I want to say it was 0-0 through 7 innings, and he was getting tired. I didn't want to take him out. It was the one time I think he wouldn't have mind coming out, but we kept him in there. Um, I still think it was the right decision, but they got a hit. I still don't know how this guy hit the ball. It was 2 strikes on him with a runner on second, with the runner starting on second in the extra innings. And I think you'll have to ask him, but I think it was a slider. And this thing was barely off the ground, and the guy got it and hit it up the middle, and that brought in the run. And man, but he pitched his ass off in that game. So those are two big ones last year, and then obviously the year before he had some really big playoff games in the championship against the Senators. That was a huge one because they had a really good lineup that year.
I was gonna say, speaking of your lineup, I mean, you said it. Brock, Xavier Nunez, Nick Godfrey, who's on here as well, have all said how deep your lineup is. Talk about that offensive approach that comes with the lineup being that deep and why it's so successful. Because you kind of touched on it briefly, but if you want to just kind of explain more what that means for your team and how you're able to manage it. Because, like I said, you talked about it briefly, but if you want to go into any more detail
Yeah,
or
I
anything
mean,
anybody doesn't know from either not watching you guys or if they have watched you guys, maybe give a little more insight.
yeah, I mean, I think our lineup's very good. Um, Going to the playoffs last year, we were missing a couple bats. One of our catchers didn't get eligible, and We didn't have a bench, but our starting lineup is just really good and they feed off each other. So it's an easy lineup to make when everyone's hidden because it just takes one guy to start, whether it's Dana or Johnny or Nick or even X, or one of the dogs. You know, we forget about guys like Bosworth and Stremple, who was our team hit leader. Kind of goes under the radar, but he's getting hits almost every single game. So it's kind of easy to make the lineup. But when they get cold, the worst thing that happens is go cold altogether, and that's what good pitching does. Pitching's what's going to win you a championship, not your hitting. Um, but going into this year, I think we filled in a few of those spots we were missing. Not so much. Normally, I do a lot of recruiting, but this year, I mean, I'm trying to recruit still. But we got some guys just coming back to the organization that's going to be very helpful. One of them is one of my favorite teammates of all time and players is Matt Tully. Um, he can play anywhere in the infield, and he's just got a monster bat. He played pro before, very high levels. He's a scout for the Phillies now, and he's played with us in the tournaments, but he's had moved away for a while. But now he's back, so we'll have him close to full time this year. So that's going to help the lineup tremendously right there. Um, then we got Jose Rosso, who was one of my younger players who turns 27 this year, and you're allowed to have one 27-year-old on your roster. And he's another catcher. So last year we're, again, thin in catching because Ben was our dog, and he just took a beating behind the plate, and we could never give him a break. We had nobody else. So this year we'll have 3 catches with Vila coming back. And I look forward to having a really strong lineup. And since we have 2 teams, one in the BNBL and one in the BBA, both 28s, we've able to grown an organization where I have 35, 36 guys playing under the Lowell Angels names, and I can kind of move them where I need them. You know what I'm saying? I have more pieces. So I don't necessarily need 16 guys to show up to a game, and then you got 5 guys complaining they're not playing. I can send those guys to the other team to play that night and get their reps, and vice versa. If by the time we get to the playoffs, some of these new guys, Andy Gagnon, who's come back, he played for me with the Black Sox years ago, finally relieves me from being the oldest guy on the team. This dude's 47, and he's still a beast. He can smash the ball, and he's a good arm coming out of the pen for a guy who's, well, Mike Smith's that age too, but yeah, he can hum it still out of the bullpen even at 47. So we should be deeper, and we still got a couple question marks that could be hopping on with us that I'm hoping. I'm not going to say any names yet, but we'll be right there in the mix as, you know, one of the top 4 or 5 teams again. This league, everyone just keeps loading up. I mean, if I look at the team we had in 2023 and look at what we have now, like we would smoke that team in 2023, even though they were at the time a very good team, but the league's just got better. And that 2023 team probably wouldn't be a top 4 right now. So you just got to keep building stronger. And I'm sure that's what all the teams are doing. Anyone from top to bottom could win a big game. Even if you're facing the bottom half of the league, they're showing up every game and want to beat you. I mean, you could lose to the Irish any day of the week. North Andover, they're going to fight every time. You know, it's anything could happen.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen in a given year. I mean, your 2024 run is a perfect example of that too, because
Yeah,
you guys got hot at the right time. And all it takes is one bad inning, one bad pitch, whatever, and or a good pitch if it's the other way,
yeah.
and catch a break. So I'm sure you're doing
2024
that.
was like we really had angels in the outfield. You know, like every decision I made worked, which never happens. You know, you try to make a call. You know, I listen to the broadcasters questioning what I'm doing. It's pretty cool because then it ends up working out in my favor. But that doesn't always happen. You know, you're going to make wrong decisions, which you don't know at the time. It's just part of baseball. It's what makes it so awesome. And all the stuff that went well in 2024, that magic went over to the Senators last year. I mean, they just had a lot of magic moments, magic hits. The pitching's really good, and they got some good hitters. One guy, well, besides Smith's a good hitter. Valcourt, he played with us in the Field of Screens tournament. He's a good hitter. And their shortstop is a pain in the butt. Shiminsky or Nick. I'll call him Nick. He had our number. He had 2 homers off us in the regular season, and he had a big hit off us in the championship too. I can't remember if it was a home run. Yeah, he did. Oh man, yeah, I remember it. Yeah, it was. He had a shot. So he had 3 home runs off us. So we have to put an end to that. Hopefully, we can. I can watch him a little bit and figure out his weakness, like we did the year before with the spinners. There was one guy in that lineup that I'm like, this is the guy I don't want him to beat us. That was Kyle Maglio, who was the MVP, and he was the one guy I was just focused on when we were playing against. And I told my pitchers what to do, and I remember Johnny was pitching one of the games, and he decided to go his own way, and Kyle's got a good one off from line drive up the middle, and I remember Johnny's looked over at me, and I just smiled, and that was it. Like, we went to my plan, and he went quiet. So you got to really do your homework on players when they're at the top. You know, he was the MVP of the league. You got to figure out a way to calm him down a little bit.
Makes sense. And one thing you guys also did last year is you got to play at a stadium in Lowell for the first time. You
Yeah,
kind of have your own home field, which I don't see that often in this league. I mean, teams will play all over the place. But how was
yeah,
it playing at Lowell Field in Lowell for the first time and having like multiple home games,
yeah.
at your own field?
It was awesome. We love having home games. For a while, we were using Alumni Field in Lowell, and we had some issues with getting the permits last year. For some reason, they decided they didn't want adult baseball to be playing on a baseball field, and I fought with the town multiple times, went to meetings, and we just didn't get anywhere. So luckily, at one of those meetings, Matt Latcher, whose name is on the stadium, was there, and he talked to me and gave me contacts and set me up with them. And normally in a men's baseball league, you wouldn't play at a field like that, but we felt, we already budgeted enough money to play most of our games at Alumni that we could keep that money and play 3 games at Welatcha because it's very expensive. It's $675 a game, where our other field we use as a backup, Campbell Field, is only $25, so it kind of balances out. But it was awesome. We did fundraisers at the game. I work in retail, and I had a lot of like vendors, Pepsi, Red Bull, and stuff like that, donate stuff so we could raise some more money. Do 50/50s, and we had good crowds. On a Sunday afternoon, we had over 100 something people, which is kind of wild for a men's baseball game. And then Lowell Youth had won a bunch of their Little League championships last year, and right afterwards we had a upcoming game against the Senators actually. And I reached out to the Little League and said, we'd love to welcome you guys to our game, and we let the kids go on the field and stuff. So we had probably 250 people at that game, and it was just awesome because it was youth softball, youth baseball. We probably had 75 kids out on the field before pregame, just having a lot of fun. Kids cheering on our players and stuff. It was a really good atmosphere. We ended up losing that game, but it was fun. So we had 3 games there last year and a playoff game, and then my BBA team had 1 game there as well. And then going into this year, we did some fundraising, and we're looking forward to it because the Lowell Spinners are back in town. They're no longer single A, but they're part of the Futures League. And there was a lot of renovation going on. So the stadium's getting repainted, the seats are going to be fixed. So it's going to even look better coming into this season. And besides, so right now, UMass Lowell uses it. and now the spinners use it, and we kind of snuck right in there. And we have 6 games this year. We're gonna have 4 games with the BNBL team and 2 games with the BBA team. So it's fun. It's another piece where, when I'm trying to get guys to come play with us, like, hey, we play at Alachua Park. It's not some crap field down the street. It's a fun time, and it's a good recruiting tool.
Yeah, I mean, best of luck with that, and I mean, hopefully, you'll draw more crowds. I mean, when I was there broadcasting a game there, we had a youth just randomly that was sitting behind us that decided to hop on the broadcast, and he had
Oh,
a
nice.
ton of fun with that. So,
Super
just
fun.
a free chance to just hop on, and yeah, it was great exposure, and I'm
Yeah,
sure
it's
all
free
the
baseball.
audience
It's
had fun with that. So.
free baseball, very high level baseball. Um, for people, whether you're family or friends or just people, like, we're promoted around town because you got that beautiful stadium. If it's a beautiful night or day, come watch some free baseball and have a good time. You can, sneak your beers in your paper or plastic bag or paper bag, and you're good. We should hopefully. I'm hoping to grow off that now that the spinners are there. I think we can. The spinners are going to help us because they're going to bring in people and get them hungry for baseball again. Where not a lot of people knew us last year around Lowell. We're just a men's team, so just getting 100 people that we didn't know to show up, it was a pretty big accomplishment. But if we can get to some of those spinner games this year and, hand out flyers and let them know, hey, you can come watch us for free, bring the kids for free if you can't afford going to a game every week. Our games are free. So that'll be fun.
So obviously we've talked a lot about the BMBL, but obviously you also involved with the BBA. You want to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about any players there you want to shout out and why it's important for player or people to come watch their games as well, because I'm sure there's a lot of fun baseball there.
Yeah. The BBA is a lot of fun. It's a newer league. We joined last year, also 28 plus division. So I was getting a lot of guys reaching out, wanting to play ball that I used to play with. And I just felt like the BNBL 28s, that division is like super strong with talent. I'm 41. I'm not a stud in that league by any means, but I wanted to find a place where I could play more often and get to back to actually being able to be in most of the games as a starter. So we put together a team in the BBA. Alex Koppelman is my manager for that team, and he was part of my BNBL team for a while. We have a few guys that do both last year: Bosworth, Stremple, myself, and Koppelman. And we had a lot of guys I used to play with. Sawyer, lefty pitcher, that was really good. We found a few guys kind of off the street. This kid Pontus from Tewksbury, who ended up being a great team guy. Our catcher was really good, Rich. This guy, Joe Namor. Um, he had an excellent year last year, and then he's gone MIA again. He disappears. It's strange. I'll see him in a couple years. But we put that team together basically so we could expand our roster, get guys that aren't playing a lot on the other team more playing time, and kind of just grow. And last year we finished in second place in that league and end up losing the championship to the Havoc, who used to be in the BMBL. They kind of started the whole BBA league. Omar did. So we kind of got our feet wet in both. I don't play sides, nobody's better than this person, that person. Just I'm in the middle, want to play as much baseball as I can. And I had a great year myself. I batted over 400. That was my best year since my heart issues. I was 3 years out now from transplants. So that's when you really start feeling strong and stuff. So I'm pretty close to being as healthy as I can for a 41-year-old baseball player. So we lost a championship there, but we did some upgrading over the offseason, reached out to more guys that I used to play with. We had tryouts, and we got more guys doing both teams, which is going to help both teams because they're going to get more reps. I can send guys to certain games, like we are saying, to make sure both teams are competitive. So this year, X is playing both teams. Johnny's playing both teams. Two of my new guys, Gagnon and Garth, are playing both teams. And we got a lot more pitching. We ran out of pitching last year because playoffs were going on at the same time in the BNBL as the BBA. So we had to add more arms, and we're looking forward to staying on top of that league and hopefully take one away from the Havoc, who's won that league 2 years in a row since it started. So we're trying to at least walk away with one championship this year. I think with the BNBL, we have just as good as chance as anybody. Senators are probably favored going into it, just as the Havoc's probably favored going into the BBA. But we'll make a strong push for both of them. And we practice together, both squads. Like I said, it's like one team of 35 guys just playing different areas. And it's good because there's guys I haven't played in years where I know they're good or they used to be good, but I can't. It's easy to, like, I'll start them off on my BBA team where the pitching just, the hitting's fine. Both leagues can hit the daylights out of the ball, the top teams. The pitching is much stronger. I think the BBA will step up more this year. A lot more stuff's been going behind recruiting, but BBMBL's been around longer, so the pitch is just at a different level. So they can get their feet wet in the BBA, and maybe they'll get the call up to the big leagues later on in the season.
Yeah, and we've talked about a lot of great players that are on either your team or the opposing team. But I'm curious with this question. This is a question I've asked before, but who's on your BNBL Mount Rushmore of all time? You know, because there have been a lot of great players that have come through. Do you have like four that you think are or should be on Mount Rushmore? You know, either that are in the Hall of Fame or that you've played with, and why?
From my team or overall?
Just
Overall.
overall, because I mean, you've seen a
Well, this
lot of
will,
different players.
yeah. So I mean, we've been in the league for 3 years, so I just going by the BNBL. I mean, the biggest names out there. My favorite player out there is I got two. I'm a big fan of Mike Smith. I love the way he plays the game. He's a nice guy on the side, but he's a dog on the mound, and he can hit. He's clutch. The other guy is Teddy from the Bombers. Um, he just mashes all the time, and he's a catcher, and he's a former pro. Those two are I'd say the top two dogs. I'd say, and then going around, if you go to the Spinners, they got really good pitching. I love the Spinners pitching. Uh, uh, Padavanis, I think is his last name. There's two brothers, and then Josh Desai, who's a nasty lefty. When he's on, I mean, he'll just shut you down inning after inning when he's on. Um, what else? The A's have a kid I like a lot. Alec Christian, he's a good pitcher. That's another team you got to watch out for. They don't count them out. They gave us a hard time in the playoffs last year. We only beat them by one run in game 3 of that series. And then who else I want to go around? Bombers, the Senators, Spinners. If I had to name one guy on another team I really like playing against or with, I played with him once, was Jose Polino. Um, he's been around forever. As long as he's playing, his team's going to have a pretty good team. And I mean, the Bombers have many guys. They got their shortstop Tyler, who plays for the Rays too. He's really good, and their coach can still mash. They're an older team, but it's like when you're playing them, you're going up against Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire like all day long, and and you got to figure out how to get them out. So what else? I mean, other than that, a lot of the guys from my own team, I'd say. I got to coach the All Star team last year, and yeah, all those guys were good players. But I think I named the big ones. Matos, pitcher on the Bombers, he plays in the 18s too. He's really good. I played 1 year with him on the Black Sox, not my Black Sox. It was the Waltham Black Sox. Long story. I jumped from my own team 1 year because some stuff was happening. So I played with him. He was pretty cool. Um, Yeah, that would be my Mount Rushmore, I think.
Okay, and I mean, with
If
all
I
the
forget somebody, I'm sorry.
oh
Um,
no, no worries. I'm sure they won't give you a hard
oh,
time at all.
Maglio.
Oh
Can't
yeah,
forget him.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a good
I'll have to
player.
have him back on at some point. Because I think I did a brief interview with him. But Magda, if you're listening, feel free to reach out. I'm looking for podcast guests. So anybody's if anyone has any recommendations or want to reach out, this is my free plug for that. Because like I said, this is great conversation and
We
definitely
actually
want to get
started
to know
our
people
own.
more.
We started our own team Hall of Fame last year, actually, since this is going on my 16th year of kind of running the team. We at one of our games at Latcher, we introduced two of the first guys that kind of got the team going. Our first year, we only won two games and we are horrible. And I recruited two guys, Mike Belair and John Scholl, who kind of changed baseball for me. Without those two guys, we probably wouldn't have been going this strong for a long time. So they both have won five different championships with me. They both still play in the over 30 league. Scholl was actually part of the 2024 Black Sox Angels team. So we put them in the Hall of Fame last year, and we're hoping to maybe do two guys every single year. Kind of give back to the guys that chose to stick with me over the years. We don't own players, we don't pay players. Players have to pay us to play. So when you have guys that stick with you for 10 years, it's nice to kind of say thank you whenever you can.
Yeah, and I'm curious with this next question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received from either teammate or someone you've coached or anyone in the league? And what was that advice? And how do you use it today, honestly?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's ever been given to me by baseball. I think uh, going through what I'd gone through so much in the hospital with my three surgeries, just go out and give 100%, never give up, and always put your heart into everything and just let the pieces fall. I mean, as long as you put 100% in, play with heart, um, good things will happen. If you're dogging or having a bad attitude, then bad things are going to happen. So just stay positive. You don't know when your last game is going to be or your last day. I'm on bonus time. I should have been dead 8 years ago. Instead, I got a couple more championships under the belt, more teammates and friends, and get to keep playing this game I love. So I tell everybody, just play with heart. Don't hold anything back. Go for it. Take risk. I'm a risk taker. You know, some people in my condition would not be doing half the stuff I do, but that's how I live my life. So take a piece of that if you want.
All right, and then final couple questions. Finish the sentence. The Angels will win the 28 plus title in 2026 because.
Because, oh man, we're gonna win it. I'll tell you that. Hopefully, but it's gonna go back to being all in. Everybody, not just one player, is gonna win. The guy on the bench has to be just as strong as the guy on the mound. So I'd say we got to come together as a team again, team first, and hopefully our big dogs on the mound can carry us and we can get some timely hits this year. And I think with what we already have, we didn't have to add a lot because we're right there already. One pitch, 12-inning game. Uh, we're right there. Could have went either way. So we just gotta come up with a timely hit. But it'll take a team effort. I'm not gonna name one guy out of it.
Fair enough. And then final question or final message to anyone watching, why should they come watch BBA games, BNBL games, any amateur baseball leagues that are going around? Because there's a lot of great stories and a lot of great, free baseball, as you said. But why should fans come watch it to, anyone who's either new or hasn't come to a game yet?
Yeah, I mean, one, it's free. Two, it's just pure baseball. There's no, you can come and you can just hang out and talk to us throughout the game. We're not professionals. We're not gonna, you know, it's not a professional game, so you can actually be part of it. You know, like we said, we let the kids on the field and stuff, so you can come down, watch a competitive game, um, and you might say, "Hey, you know, I'm half as good as some of these guys. Maybe I can still play, and we can put you in the right direction." There's many leagues for different levels. I mean, you don't have to be a superstar at 40 to still be playing baseball. There's plenty of leagues like the over 30. They got guys out there 60, 70 years old trying to run down fly balls, but whether they get to the ball or not, they're out there. They're not sitting on the couch doing nothing. They're living. They're playing with heart. So hopefully, it gets people back into baseball, not back into baseball, but out to the games and have a good time.
Well, thank you. And
Also, the
I'm
2020, you
oh, go
forgot,
ahead.
the 2026 BBA Angels are going to win the championship and it's just going to be because it's time to take down the Havoc.
Okay. That I'm sure that's going to be bulletin board material, but hey, I love the confidence. Honestly, it's if you lack confidence, you're not going to win that many games
No,
from everybody I've talked to. So I love it. We'll end the video right there, and yeah, best of luck to you this season with both teams.
thanks. Looking
And
forward
let's see
to it.
what happens.
Yeah, if you don't pencil this guy in when we talk about my lineup, he'll kill me. So, uh, one of the other guys on the team that can put up big numbers in the lineup had a little bit of a down year last year, but it is solid at first base. Is Jimmy Wilson. Uh, I've known him since middle school. He was the only guy that I played little league with that's on my team still. So it was fun winning the championship with. Yeah, we won a championship. It was fun winning a championship with him, and looking for another big year out of him at first base and in the middle of the lineup. Or he can go anywhere in the lineup. He's a big guy, but sometimes you can bat him two, or you can put him in batting 7 or 8. That's how deep our lineup can be, and you know, blast a double or something, or a big single in the A spot. It's huge. So the lineup's deep 1 through 10. Normally I bat 10.
Any predictions about what kind of numbers he could put up?
Well, going back to 2024, he was in the running for MVP. He led the team in RBIs. I think he had 20 RBIs last year, in 2024. So if we can get, 10 to 15 RBIs out of him, um, that'll be good. And
Okay,
he's solid
perfect.
first baseman, but he's got some competition this year at first base with Tully coming back. So it'll be fun battles this spring.